Welcome back to AutoCAD for Landscape Horticulture. Today we're going to take the next step and learn some really neat commands. We're going to learn things like polyline, Pedit, how to edit a polyline, close a polyline. We're going to work on the offset command, and we're going to try to draw a square using polylines. To do that, we'll use some of the Ortho commands and Osnap commands. So let's get started. First thing I want to touch on real quick was down here in the status bar. Right now you can read that all of the buttons actually have the names of what they are. These can also be changed by right-clicking, Use Icons. So when you open up your AutoCAD, if it happens to have a lot of icons down here, they still have all the same buttons, but they're just graphically represented instead of having the words. I'm going to switch mine back, and I'm going to unclick the Use Icons so I can have the words. That's what I'm used to. And we're going to start drawing with a polyline. So over here you have the line command that we first used, and now we have the polyline command. I like to type in PL and enter, and polyline. So it works the exact same way as a line. So here I've drawn a polyline, and I'm going to press enter. With the command line clear, you can go up and click on the line. You can see that they're all joined. So it's all one continuous line called a polyline. I'm going to escape. I'm going to start the line command. So I'll go up here and use the icon for line, and I'll just create kind of a little line going around here so that you can see the difference. I'm going to hit escape to get out of the command. Now when I click on that, each line is an independent line. It's all line segments. They are not connected. So let's escape, and I'm going to erase these lines by clicking on them. One more. Some fun things we can do with polylines. We can edit them. Start the pedit command. And then I'm going to click on the line, and now it has all these options. Make sure you don't press enter again, or you'll get out of the command, so that line or multiple. So I'm going to select my line, and I'm not going to press enter. You notice on the command line you have a lot of options. There's C for close, J for join, width, edit vertex, fit, spline, decurve, etc. The capital letter in any command, and in 2013 it looks like they are now blue. That is the letter that you can type in to activate that command. So I will type in S for spline, and watch what it did to my line. It smoothed out all the different lines. And I'm going to press enter so I can click on this, and notice that you have all these blue grips. These blue boxes are called grips. You can click on a grip, and you can move these grips now. So if you're creating edging for a lawn or a wall, you can have a lot of control over what you need to make those various elements in your landscape design. Now we'll go back to the pedit command, enter, and we're going to select that line again. But say we wanted this to be a continuous line for sod. And so we can press the C for close, which happens to be our first option down here. So C for close, enter. Now that closed up that polyline. So that's a very powerful command. No end to the possibilities of what you might use a polyline that has been splined and closed. Continuing with the thought of creating a landscape drawing, if we wanted to create a 3-foot walkway around this lawn, there's another very handy command called offset. And it's this icon right up here is offset. This time I'm going to click the icon. And then if you read down here, it says offset. Specify offset distance through erase layer. Through is the default. I'm actually going to enter a quantity of 2. We have not set up any scale. We have no idea what size we're drawing in right now, so I'm not exactly sure of the results. But I'm going to click on the line. It's asking you to select the side you want to offset. So whether you want to go inside or outside, I think I'm going to go outside on this one so it looks like a walkway. And there we go. And then I'm going to hit escape for exit, and I'm back to an empty command line. But here I have the offset, and you'll notice how many grips it added as it offset. That could be a real drawback for editing that second line. That first line remains unchanged. So let me erase this again, and I'll go through this one more time. I'm just going to erase that outer line. We're going to use this icon up here that's offset. We're going to read our command line. It says specify offset distance through erase or layer. The first time you use it, it will default to through. The first time we entered a distance of 2. We're going to keep that distance. I'm going to select the line by clicking on it. And now it's going to show me that if I go to the outside of that line, that's what it's going to look like. Or if I go inside the line, that's what it's going to look like. I'll pick the inside line. And notice that we have 2 separate lines. We have this line, and it also added a little piece of line over here. So sometimes you'll get some unexpected results using offset, but it's a very handy command. I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to erase these lines. I'm actually going to use the pan command now. So I right-clicked, use pan. I'm going to slide this all the way off of my drawing space. So that's all the way off my drawing space. I'm going to hit escape. Now I'm going to try to draw a square, and I'm going to use polylines. So use polyline or type PL and then enter. And I'm going to try to draw a square. So a square might be like that. Might be like that. Come to here. And like that. Now escape. How'd we do? Not very well. There must be an easier way to draw lines in AutoCAD. So now I'm going to slide this over. And I'm going to look at some of these objects down here in the status bar. The first one I'm going to do is click on Ortho. Ortho is a very handy drawing aid. It allows you to draw vertically or horizontally. There's also a keyboard shortcut that is F8. F8 turns on and off Ortho. If you look at the button down here, Ortho is coming on and off as I press F8. I'll leave it on. I'm going to type polyline, press enter. And now look, no matter where I move my mouse, it's drawing straight up. Then it's drawing straight over at that 90 degrees. Then straight down. And then back over. And I can get it pretty darn close to a nice square. I'm going to hit escape. And you can see what a square looks like using Ortho. I'm going to introduce one more item on the status bar, which is Osnap. So you can click on Osnap. It's also F3. F3 turns on and off Osnap. Before we use Osnap, we're going to hover our mouse over Osnap, and we're going to right-click. We have all these options here. So these are all our settings. I'm actually going to click on the settings, and we can get a dialog box. That'll stay up here longer for me to talk about it. I want you to click or unclick the following things. Endpoint needs to be clicked. Midpoint, click. Center, click. Node, we're going to unclick. Quadrant, unclick. Intersection should be clicked. Extension, unclick. Insertion, unclick. Perpendicular, unclick. Tangent, unclick. Nearest is clicked. Apparent intersection is unclicked, as well as parallel. You can see you have some other options up here. We will be working on those a little later, but now we're going to select OK. And we have this square. Using the Osnap drawing aids, we can do some neat things. I'm going to start polyline. You have to start a command to be able to use the Osnaps. Now, when you hover over this line work, you will get the squares, the hourglass shape that corresponded to the icons or symbols that we just clicked on and off. So if I wanted to draw a line directly in the middle of this line, I would go to the triangle and it'll send me a little thing saying that's the midpoint. So midpoint, and I'm going to come down here, and notice what happens when I get really close down here. It's going to automatically grab that and try to connect that to the next midpoint. I'm not going to let that happen at this point. I'm going to come back up a little bit so that's not clicking that midpoint, because I'm not sure if those lines are exactly the same. Now I'm going to hit escape, and I can actually press enter again, and look, on the command line, polyline is restarted. I'm going to enter, and see it's already had grabbed that endpoint, and I don't really want that to happen. So I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to see if I can override that by getting this midpoint. Nope. It drew the line from the endpoint up to here. Then I'll hit escape. I wasn't paying attention when I started that command, and it automatically grabbed that endpoint. That's the downside of using these drawing aids. But now I can start polyline again, or I could have just pressed enter. And I'm going to come over to here, click, and escape. Now I do have a perfect square. So now in order to trim off the other lines, I'm going to use the trim command real quick. Kind of remember that from the last lesson. I hit trim. I'm going to go down. I want to select the cutting edges. I'm going to go ahead and accept the default of select all. Now, even though I can't see on my screen that all was selected, everything was selected. So if I go ahead and click on this line, it's going to erase it. That line is not, because there's nothing bisecting it. It's just a line segment. But this line here, this line here, this line here, and I can keep clicking until there's nothing bisecting. And this is interpreting where all these other lines were going, and that's why it let me to continue to trim. I'm going to hit escape, use erase, and I'm going to erase the remaining line segments, and I'm going to not use that yet, but click on these to erase and hit enter. Now we are left with a perfect square, and I'm going to hit Z, enter, E, enter, and now you can see my polyline and my square. I'm going to use pan to center this again. Then I'm just going to draw some more random lines just to practice using my Osnaps. Other thing I want to show you is that even with ortho on, and I bring a line up, it can snap right to there, but if I happen to bring it over to the corner, on the screen it shows that it's going to go straight up and down like ortho should, but Osnap is going to override that and actually pull it up to this Osnap on this endpoint. So when I click now, that line will actually be at a diagonal. So that's how Osnap can override ortho. So you need to pay attention. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. Keep coming back for more. Have a great day.